Meanwhile, China held its version of the Shangri-La dialogue, ending today. Beijing said defense and military delegates from 100 countries attended the Shangshan Forum. Chinese Defense Minister Dong Jun, who was a no-show at the Shangri-La dialogue earlier this year, largely repeated CCP phrases of decrying Cold War mentality, crushing external forces supporting Taiwan separatism, opposing other nations' bullying actions and hegemonic expansionism. He also had this to say. Watch.
某些域外国家所谓的航行自由，个别声索国所谓的国际仲裁，公然挑战国际关系的基本准则。中国依法维护领土主权和海洋权益，正是对战后秩序 和国际法治的坚定捍卫。
Roger, we highlighted there a section that was addressed to South China Sea, but how did you assess Dong Jun's speech overall?
Well, I think Dong Jun actually tried to, well, this is a new strategy that China has been using, that they are imitating the stick plus gentle talk kind of style that, well, they just finished their military parade on September the 3rd, showing their military muscles with their emerging technologies. And now they are trying to play the peacemaker, showing another face to the international society that actually they are the state quo keeper and holder. So by doing that, they are trying to convey their messages all together.
And again, I mean, how, in a sense, it has for a long time promoted itself as a force for peace or a peacemaker. But as time goes on, you know, how does that message stand up?
Well, I think we need to put it in context. The context is actually, this is a conversation between the United States and China. The defense minister from China was actually making his points in response to a Secretary of War's Hegseth's statement in the Shangri-La conference that happened in late May, early June.
Which was?
Which was
the threat from China is imminent.
The threat from China is imminent, and also we will protect our vital interests in the Indo-Pacific region, which he reiterated later on recently, and that the United States has no intent of overthrowing the government of China, and so everyone's laying out their position. And so the Secretary of Defense from China is just saying the same thing they've always been saying is, you know, we claim Taiwan, leave us alone, we're going to take it however we want, and oh, by the way, we're peaceful, we're not doing anything bad, and all is good in the world. And
we want you out of the region.
Yes. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So okay. it's a conversation they're having, but I think it's a de-escalation conversation because they didn't have it at Shangri-La as they did last year.
Right, okay. And Roger, you know, perhaps more importantly, as well as being that conversation between China and the US, it's also for the attendees of this Chinese forum, right? So they don't want to attend Shangri-La dialogue. They feel that this is hostile. Their own one in China, some of the attendees there, Vietnam, Singapore, France, Nigeria, Brazil. How successful is that peace messaging to them?
Well, I think we will have to check each and every different case. Vietnam has the long tradition of bamboo diplomacy, so they are swaying back to China for this time because of their domestic needs and their change of governments. And maybe very soon we'll see Vietnam swaying back to the US, but we are yet to see. And Singapore has been good at hedging, so they are based on their national interest. Okay,
and you spoke about a conversation between the US and China. Of course, there's also going to be the conversation between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump today. Xi will obviously raise Taiwan. So is the question, you know, what signals we will hear from Trump?
I think that Trump is avoiding the topic of Taiwan for the basic reason it's too hot to discuss in an open forum. And it's better to keep those kind of conversations between Taiwan and the United States and between the United States and China, and basically to reinforce what is President Trump's policy as stated by Hegseth, which was we have vital interests in the Indo-Pacific. you back off from those. And those vital interests include Japan, South Korea, which we have mutual defense treaties. And also, by the way, if there is a war with Taiwan, those countries will be greatly, have great impact on their economy. So Taiwan is part of those vital interests, although it's not directly stated.
The first island chain. Yeah, okay. China's establishment of a nature reserve along one bank of Scarborough Shoal, leaving the North and South Rock unprotected. On September 16th, Chinese Coast Guard ships water cannoned a Philippine fisheries vessel, causing damage to the ship and injuring one person aboard, according to the Philippine Coast Guard. This incident comes after a Chinese Navy ship crashed into its own Coast Guard on August 11th, likely killing Chinese personnel on board, as both their vessels pursued a Philippine Coast Guard ship which was resupplying its fishing community. Roger, let me ask you, so China, as we've been discussing, through right back from the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the PLA parade that to mark the end of World War II, has been pushing quite hard this alternative China-led world order. But what does a China-led world look like, that new world order, if we see what's been happening in the Philippines?
Well, I think they will be speaking softly to great powers, but use great sticks to the small powers. They are forcing smaller allies like Australia, like Canada, like the Philippines to do whatever they like.
Gemma, how would you characterize a China-led order?
Well, first of all, disregard for international rulings. We saw that with their attempt to claim the so-called South China Sea. Expansion through coercion. We've seen that. We're seeing that actually off the Taiwanese coast with oil rigs that have been suddenly announced that have been around for 5 years. They're acting and believing that they are the head honcho or the big boss, mafia boss in the region, and they're acting like it.